First story. Ada for breaking my number one's X rule with a handicapped guy. Obviously throwaway. I don't need anyone here seeing my regular account. Also, I'm in the US, and English is my first language. Any discrepancies are because I suck at typing on my phone. So TLDR for the give me the bare bones. I don't have all day to read on the SHT crew. My number one's X rule since high school has been nose X before the third date. I recently broke that rule with a handicapped guy. And now my childhood best friend is pissed and grossed out because she thinks I have some weird kind of fetish. Contextual story. I'm a 28F. My childhood best friend, we'll call Jess, is also 28F. To put it simply, I don't think I'm any kind of prude. I just don't really feel comfortable with casual sex. I never have. My best friend knows this and has teased me about it lightly in the past. She's been in a long-term relationship for the last 3 years. I've mostly been single while working on my degree and starting my career. Jess lives in another state with her boyfriend, so we don't hang out much anymore. So about a month ago, I had a first date with a guy I'd been talking to for a bit. I thought it was going places, but he gave a weird vibe on the date, and I cut and ran early. On my way home, I stopped at a local pub, figuring I'd have a drink to unwind and people watch till it wore off. Tipsy driving is still drunk driving, IMO. I get there, and it's pretty packed, Friday night and all, and there was no seating room at the bar. Took my drink and looked around. Most of the restaurant side of the pub was someone's birthday party. But there was a small table with a seat open off to the side, with a guy reading a book there. So I say F it. I'm a social person, and what's the worst thing that happens? He says no. So I ask if I can sit there for a bit. I promise we don't have to talk or anything. At this point, I feel like I've F'd up because this guy up close is the hottest man I have ever seen. But he just smiled at me and gave an enthusiastic, sure. A few minutes later, while I am sipping in silence, he says, I don't mind talking if you want to. Yeah, I want to. Are you kidding me right now? We talk for a bit. And it turns out Mike fake name is 29. Just finished his master's degree in some kind of computer learning field. I program computers to program computers. And he's living on his own for the first time. He apparently stops by the pub after work because it's right around the corner. And he's not used to the silence yet after living so long with a half-dozen siblings. We talked for a good 2 hours about everything from dating, which he said he's basically given up on, to hobbies and tastes. And we have a near total eclipse of a Venn diagram on this stuff. I eventually sort of blurted out that I don't know why he'd give up on dating. This is the closest thing I've had to a good date in forever. Shooting my shot obliquely here, lol. He gets kind of an odd look on his face and says, Tell you what, I have to go to the bathroom. But when I come back, I'll ask you out for real. Weird, but okay. Then it all clicks, because he doesn't get up to walk away. He just rolls. In his wheelchair. And I'm thinking, oh my god, he wanted to give me a chance to back out of this without making it awkward. How cute can this guy be? He grinned like crazy when he got back and saw I was still there. And I basically tripped over myself saying something to the effect of, so I'm free all weekend. What did you have in mind? Another hour later, we've got plans for Saturday. And he told me he has a neuromuscular disorder. I can't remember the name of my degree, isn't in STEM lol, so his legs work. But the signals from his brain get misinterpreted. So he doesn't have the balance or coordination for walking or standing. The pub starts switching over to the younger rowdier crowd. And he asks if I'd like to go back to his place for coffee to continue our conversation. As you have probably long since realized, I did not get any coffee or conversation till the next morning. And I have zero regrets. We've been dating since then. And I know it's still early. But I really feel like this might be the one. Onward to yesterday afternoon. My friend Jess, remember Jess, is in town. And we go out for coffee to catch up on things. I'm gushing about Mike. But when I get to how we met, she just sort of gets weird and edgy. I don't remember any exact words, but she essentially said that I must have a fetish for the handicapped since I broke my number one rule. And it's the best physical relationship I've ever been in. Like it's good for me because he uses a wheelchair, not because the guy puts in effort in bed. She said I've changed as a person and left without even saying goodbye. 15 years of friendship, and I've never seen her like that. So here I am, asking the most objective people online, haha, if I'm an arsehole or weird for being super attracted to a guy who uses a wheelchair, and basically putting out immediately. Comments. Shotzi Stone. Oh F that friend. I read this whole thing. You have zero fetishes. The guy is hot. The guy is intelligent. The guy lives on his own. The guy has his SHT together. The man gave you the door to leave. Love comes in all shapes and sizes. OP. That SHT floored me. He's so considerate in so many ways. His stories about his sibs are also hilarious. I can't wait to meet them. We're trying not to rush things just because it all seems so great. But they have a BBQ in May that he'd like me to come to. And I am so there. He was raised around a lot of love, and it shows. Update 2 days later. My first ever update. Yay. So if you were hoping for some terrible drama, I hate to break it to you that I don't roll like that. No pun intended. So I do have an update on Jess, and SHT finally makes perfect sense. And I have a slightly NSW but funny story about Mike. Because this guy is just the best, y'all. Okay, so first, I finally messaged Jess yesterday and said basically, I'm still hurt by what you said, but after 15 years of friendship, I'd never forgive you if I didn't at least ask why you snapped at me like that. She replied immediately, I'm so effing sorry. I didn't mean any of that. Can we have a do-over on lunch? So I agreed cautiously and took a half day to meet with her today. Turns out that those of you who said she was jealous and that she might have something else going on, and especially the person who said something might be going on in her relationship, gold stars. She's in town because she's job hunting, because she's moving back in with her parents for a while since her relationship ended. Apparently, they have been having a ton of small problems adding up. But the biggest one, sex. The guy she's been with was apparently never great. But it's gotten to the point where he makes no effort at all for her to enjoy herself, and then gets pissed when she isn't in the mood. She tried talking with him about it, making suggestions, but he told her recently that it's emasculating being given sex advice by a woman. The straw that broke the metaphorical camel's back, however, was that her boyfriend has always had a thing for Asian women. She's Caucasian, but she does have long black hair. After weeks of fighting over their sex life, he suggested that they spice things up by her dressing in a kimono and pretending to be Asian. She lost it on him, and is absolutely disgusted by the racist fetishism, and ended it right then. So she had all of this bottled up, and was hoping to talk to me and finally be able to put it down. And I missed every hint that she had something big to discuss, because I was gushing about Mike. So to her it felt like I was just twisting the knife by bragging about how great RSX was. She snapped, and somewhere between what I was saying and what she wanted to talk about, some wires got crossed, and she said something incredibly dumb. She left without saying goodbye because she was mortified and ashamed as well as irrationally mad at me. Something to know about Jess. She's an awful liar. And she and I were the co-founders of our high school's foot-in-mouth society. So I do believe her. I told her I forgive her, and I'm sorry I didn't realize she wanted to talk about something bothering her. And she said I was too stupidly nice and have nothing to apologize for, so I think we'll be okay. For the time being, I'm not ready for her and Mike to meet, because I don't want to make things feel worse, and she agrees. But she's really, really happy for me. Hopefully this is just a funny story we can look back on someday. So, on to how Mike almost killed me, lol. Last night we were talking about the Reddit post, and he gets this funny expression that I'm starting to recognize. And he goes, how do we know you don't have a fetish if we haven't at least tried it in the chair? And I'm like, are you serious, lol? He said he's never attempted it because Q tears he's never felt so comfortable with a partner before. Well, his chair has what is essentially like a parking brake thing. Or it should. It's unfortunately broken, and apparently getting them fixed is an expensive pain in the arse. He doesn't use it that often, so he hasn't made it a priority. And there's this thing called Newton's third law. You know how every action has an equal and opposite reaction. As it happens, when you're trying to, get the motion of the ocean going in a chair with wheels that aren't locked, there's a sort of counter motion that starts and f's it all up. So we were going nowhere fast, except for inching along the floor in his bedroom. And laughing at the silliness, which isn't helping. Eventually, he just stops and says, maybe we can get some of those wooden block things they use to keep little planes from rolling away. Like in Indiana Jones, you know. I absolutely lost it. Like laughing so hard I'm in tears. He's giggling half at the situation and half at my reaction. And everything just keeps setting me off again. Finally, I get it under control, doing some deep breathing exercises and SHT, and I look at him again. And he pulls the straightest face he can and says, for the love of God, Dolly, this sure is uncomfortable. Folks, if I had asthma, I would have effing died right there. I laughed so hard I think I pulled a rib, like wheezing, and not even laughing anymore so much as weeping, and making this awful hee noise when I could catch my breath. While he's laughing and rubbing my back and saying he's sorry, he couldn't resist. So yeah, confirmed, no fetish here, and this magnificent bastard's comedic timing might actually kill me. I doubt I'll update again, because there's really nothing I can see needing to share given everything sort of worked out. And in the end, the real arseholes were the friends we made along the way. I don't know. Thanks for all the lovely comments on my last post, and for coming along with me on this absurd, but brief drama in my life. Lol. Update 1 month later. Hello again. I was going to post this on my own page, but a few people mentioned that they think it's nice to read on Ada, so F it. Here's the Met Mike's family update. And it's a doozy, or at least it felt like it at the time for a girl who grew up with a small, dysfunctional family. So first up, you know what people at least me don't think about when dating a guy who's always sitting? Height. I know he's taller than me because we cuddle a lot, and he's taller sitting on the couch, but I didn't really get it. So we drive up Friday night after work, actually south and west, lol. But to my brain it's always up in his vehicle, which is modified to be driven entirely using his hands. Neat, right? He's a really good driver too. One more green flag. We get to the house, and it's huge, you guys, lol, like not a mansion, just kind of a sprawling one-floor rancher. Real estate was wild back in the day. Anyway, we get out, and I meet his mom. I'd like to point out I am no slouch. I'm 5'7". His mom is towering over me. But she was the nicest lady ever. We go inside, and I meet his dad who, funny enough, is apparently the only short one in this family, and his youngest sister, who is living there with his 1-year-old niece. She gets up to hug me, and she is also really tall. It's already a bit late then, so we eat and head to bed. I get to see his cute as SHT room from when he was a teenager. And I casually ask, hey, so, I don't know how this works and stuff, but how tall are you? And Mike is all, I don't know, like a bit over 6'4". Been a while since I checked. A bit over 6'4". So, is everyone in your family tall? Kinda. We met the Nordic basketball team, he calls a family properly the next day. Actually, they're Irish, but they're blonde and tall, so it conveys the idea better. The only one of reasonable height, and still taller than me, was his oldest sister, lol. They are also loud, like, not really shouting or anything usually, just present. Mike is a lot different around them, but in the cutest way, like he just beams all the time, and you can see how happy he is to be home. One of his brothers put him in a headlock, and gave him a dang noogie as a greeting and got elbowed in the side for it, and all of them laughed. And his mom smacked one of his brothers with a rolled-up magazine for putting his feet on the table. More laughing. Just intimidating, but in the happiest way imaginable. I'll admit I was a little shut down for a bit, but Mike kept checking in with me to make sure I was okay. And they were all really nice, so I got into the spirit after a bit. I mentioned this in another comment, but Mike has a special sports wheelchair he uses for, well, sports. And he and his siblings play basketball. And he is good. Apart from just having a hell of an arm, he's quick as hell. And this magnificent bastard that I love will absolutely, purposefully, gleefully run someone's toes over. He aims for it. They all have this yank back the foot maneuver that's hysterical to watch. So it was this crazy day of loud people playing and having a blast. Nieces and nephews running around, and just noise. My ears are still ringing. The food was catered in advance because his mom had 7 babies. All I make on Mother's Day is margaritas. They also have a pool. It's a bit chilly still, but the pool is heated, so we actually all got to swim, which was a lot of fun because I got to show off that I too am athletic. I can do a backwards somersault off a diving board. Yeah, I'm a real catch, lol. They at least pretended to be impressed. We all stayed up late drinking, and being that it was too overcast to see the aurora boo, and I had the worst hangover I've had in a while on Sunday. We slept in a bit late, and then joined Mike's family for the BBQ part of the BBQ weekend. His dad can grill people, and he's fast, food coming off the grill at lightning speed. I asked Mike about it, and he laughed and said, there were 7 of us to feed. Ever see a nest of baby birds? He had practice. Which, fair enough. I don't have much experience with babies, but I got to hold his youngest niece, the one living at home with his sis, until her husband gets back from deployment. And we had a light talk about kids in the future. I told him that I never put much thought into it, but if they were going to grow up in a happy home like his, and not how I grew up, I'm pretty sure I'd be open to having them with him someday. But later, I need him all to myself for a while first. He seemed really, really happy about that, which makes me feel all goofy and happy. I'm sappy. We had to drive home Sunday night. But before we went, his mom hugged me and said she's never seen her son like this, and thanked me for taking good care of her baby. And asked if we'd be back for the 4th of July, or if we were doing something with my family. And I tried to be all, no, we'll be here if you don't mind. I don't see them much. And I think she caught on that there's more to the story. So she just hugged the SHT out of me Vikings, all of them, I swear, and told me she can't wait to see me again. My ears are still ringing from all the noise and chaos. But it was an absolute blast, and I can't wait to see them again in July. Also, I'm pretty much sure Mike is the man I'm going to marry. I literally can't think of a single reason why I would ever let him get away. Anyway, thanks for reading. Hope you all had a lovely weekend. And those of you who got to see the aurora, I'm happy for you. But you suck, lol. Update again. Dating a disabled guy. 4th of July. As I've gotten a ton of requests for updates, I figured I would let you guys know how things are going in my world. You know how sometimes a relationship looks amazing at first, but then all the red flags start showing up. This isn't one of those stories, lol. Sorry, that was mean. But I couldn't resist. Okay, on to the actual update. No, we aren't engaged yet. Yes, we have talked about it in the context of how seriously we are taking things. No babies yet either. Obviously, we are diligent about birth control. I want Mike all to myself for a while. So, the 4th of July visit to his family's house was pretty awesome. After getting to know everyone, last time I had better expectations of what I was going into. And I've talked with my therapist about the whole play fighting makes me anxious because in my childhood home, it wasn't playing thing. I don't want them to ever curb how they act to cater to me. And instead, I guess I'll consider it immersion therapy. I think Mike mentioned it anyway because I didn't see much of it this time. Though there were cheerful threats of doom lobbed about, which I didn't mind at all. His mom is amazing, I'd like to point out. Even if she mops so hard it makes me weepy. So, background info. I have a really common sounding name spelled really uncommonly. Think Danielle or Jessica. Because in addition to everything else, my parents decided to be creative when they named me. So, although I do sort of like my name, that meant I was that kid who never saw their name personalized on anything. Mike's family, on the other hand, had like a million kids, and they all got traditional names, so personalized stuff was huge for them. It kept them from fighting over stuff, I guess. One of the things in their house, because they have a pool, is that each of the kids' adults now has their own personalized beach towel that lives at the house. So we get to their place, and it's been a hot drive there. So right after we get in, Mike suggests I go to his room to get changed into a swimsuit, so we can have a dip in the pool. I'm thinking that sounds perfect, right? Some of you may already know where this is going. I get to his room, and there is a towel on the bed. In my favorite color. With my effing stupid arse spelled name embroidered into it. So here I am crying over a goddamn towel. And he's in the doorway watching and grinning like he just pranked me or some SHT. Turns out it was her idea. But she checked with Mike to make sure it was spelled right. So now I have a towel for when we visit, because apparently I'm welcome. If I sound cranky, it's just because I'm better at self-deprecation than I am at expressing emotions in a direct way. I really am blown away and touched by how much these people have welcomed me. Mike has already sort of learned to decode the way I talk and joke, which is nice. But the first time he gently said, "That's not humor. That's just putting yourself down." Babe, I definitely wanted to go hide under the table. He doesn't let me be mean to me. That's a thing good partners do, I guess. I wouldn't know. Again, yes, I am in therapy. I am working on myself. It's not his responsibility to put me back together. It's just something he does naturally. I literally told him one night that I was sorry I was kind of broken. And he snorted and said, "At least you can walk," in the most disgusted voice ever, and made me laugh. I digressed. So the food was once again amazing, and I kept my promise to teach his mom how to make my cinnamon bun bread pudding, so I felt like I contributed. Insert Ralph Wiggum, I'm helping, meme. I learned to play Yahtzee, and as it turns out, I am very good at it. They do a lot of board game things at night when everyone is staying for the week. These people have a lot of board games and puzzles. Whole damn storage closet of the things. They also drink like effin' fish and can hold it, so I am learning to pace myself. Mike doesn't drink much when we aren't there, so I'm not worried that it's a red flag. The only red flag of his that I found was a Red Sox pennant in his room. Now I realize I might be talking him up a lot, but he isn't perfect. He snores. He has a habit of arguing with people on the TV when they make stupid decisions. He sometimes starts talking about things I don't understand and just goes and goes until he realizes he lost me like 15 minutes ago. And he is fastidiously tidy, which makes me feel guilty because I have bad habits to lose. I'm not used to. Clutter means I can't move through an area, but I'm really trying. I barely spend any time at my own place anymore. And we're definitely looking to move in together sooner than later. Yeah, so, not that much of an update. No one burned themselves on a firework or anything super exciting. I'm just in an ongoing relationship with a great guy who has a great family, and things continue to look up for us. We head home tonight so we can spend some alone time on Sunday. Hope everyone else had a safe and happy holiday. Update. Dating a disabled guy. Yes, it's me again. 4 weeks later. I debated just posting this on my own page. But SHT, a lot of people keep asking for more. So I guess it doesn't hurt to drop my post between Ada for literally killing someone and Ada for meekly accepting my in-laws' cruelty, but asking if I may wash my wounds before they flog me again. This is not an exciting update. Not engaged. No babies on the way. Not even freakishly tall ones like some of you are hexing me with. But Jess finally met Mike. TLDR. Learning to read long posts is good for your attention span. Sorry. I'm not sorry. I feel compelled to open with a joke, and I don't know why. Anyway, real TLDR. She thinks he's amazing. She thinks it is hysterical that I'm on TikTok. I refuse to download it. And she is doing amazing. And our lives are moving forward together. Jess and I have this friend, who I will call Meg and not Tallulah, despite both Jess and Mike thinking it would be hilarious. Meg was planning to have a birthday party, the big 3-0, and she and Jess are close and both presently single. They chose a local bar with outside seating, and Jess did wait, let's check their accessibility, because I have been bitching to her for the last month. And lo and behold, after calling the place, they didn't have a ramp for the balcony/outside seating area. As I have been told, Jess said, "Nope, I am meeting Mr. Throra_Jeskamian." And so they found another place that's a damn hike from everyone. But it has a great outside area with accessibility. And then we got the invite. Through Facebook, because we are all basic, I guess. And Mike was stoked because they have this awesome beer selection full stop. I hate hops so. Then Meg told us that no, I am not using Tallulah for the 15% of you going. Oh, but that was such a better name. They chose it because Jess wanted Mike to feel welcome. So hats off to Jess for making the comeback impression of the century, I guess. The birthday was fun and silly, and everyone in my immediate friend group met Mike and loved him. Tons of laughter. Everyone drank way too much. But fortunately we had enough heads up for a planned motel stay. Why yes, I do own a UV flashlight. Why do you ask? So we and a bunch of other people didn't drive home. We actually had brunch in the bar the next day. It was absolutely awesome, and I am ruined for pancakes because fluffy. Once again, I digress. Jess and Mike hit it off, and she told him literally every story. I didn't want her to over-brunch, and it all was great apart from the persistent hangover. I crashed at Mike's again, and then he asked what it would cost to break my lease, because he hates the mornings he wakes up, and I'm not there. So the next upcoming week and a half or so is going to be insane, while I pack up my whole damn life and shove half into a storage unit, and the other half into his apartment, and then we'll be living together. I know it's too soon. He does too. We've decided we're idiots, and just going for it. My landlord is a lady who is a bit on the older side, and isn't charging me for breaking the lease, as long as I leave the place ready for a new renter. So I may respond to comments for a bit right away, but expect a lot of silence for a while after. True TLDR. Best friend made a good second impression, and I'm moving in with Mike ahead of schedule. I should be worried, but I'm actually just really excited. Wish me luck. Update. Dating a disabled guy. And this headline gets more and more awkward, so probably dating Mike with the wheels from now on 7 weeks later. Hey. I get a lot of messages asking how things are going, but I kinda hate when people update every 5 minutes with the "my neighbor looked at me sideways" updates after 3 paragraphs of recapping drama. So for those not invested. Still with Mike. He's amazing. I will marry him. We live together now. It's been trying. As in, he is trying not to laugh at how inept I am at cohabitation. I am really good at not leaving stuff out now, so there's improvement. He doesn't infantilize Reddit big brain word me at all, but he definitely gives me the grace due an absolute idiot. I appreciate it. We are not engaged, guys. It's been half a year. Come on. I'm writing a book about our relationship. It starts with "my name is," and the rest is just notes. Don't hold your breath. Jess moved into my old apartment. Yes, my former landlord is the GOAT. Jess is also seeing a guy. I think it is too soon. She agrees. But she has reasons, girl. We all have needs, and who am I to judge? And I was recently in kind of a serious car accident. I am fine. I have great health insurance, great car insurance, and am recovering just fine. No GoFundMe here, though if you want to help, just find a reputable charity for helping victims of drunk drivers and give them your money. So I was on my way home from working overtime, and some dude clipped my car, and I ended up in a ditch while he just sort of spun out. But I wear my seatbelt because I have a brain, and I got really, really lucky. Everything is fine. My medical deductible was already paid up for the year, and the worst I had was some bruises, a cracked femur and fibula, whiplash, and a totaled car. The silver lining is that Mike is great at caretaking. Another checkmark in the having kids category. Also, his mom brought us like a million homemade frozen dinners in Costco serving trays, and we had nowhere to put them, so she bought us a effing chest freezer. Guys, I don't even know with this family. They are amazing. I know usually I give some sweet, heartwarming updates while being about mental health, but I am pretty well medicated until my leg heals, and I have a few weeks off work to cuddle Mike while watching bad sci-fi, so I'm not in the best place to fill your cups. Sorry. Also, don't watch Another Life on Netflix unless you have the ability to set your brain aside, because it is the least consistent show I have ever seen. I mean, I loved it, especially the spine ripping itself out of a person and trying to walk away. Oh my god. But it requires suspension of disbelief like few things I have encountered in all my years. Also, Mike says hi. He indulges me. Have a good autumn, and please, for the love of heck, don't drive drunk. And don't expect anything from me, unless the Thanksgiving gathering is as epic as they claim. Ahahaha. I almost slipped and said his last name. No doxing for you today, because Reddit is probably already over my SHT. As always, love you guys for all the support. I'm okay. The relationship is fab, and please don't drink and drive. Edit. I don't have a cracked femur. Jesus, these meds are something. I have a fractured fibula lower leg, outside bone, and it didn't break all the way through. I have no idea how I mixed those two up. Mike says at least I'm cute when I'm high, but he is clearly biased. So yeah, cracked fibula, little leg bone, shortish healing time. Not femur, thank F. Comments. Storm and I. I've been here since your first post, and I'm still so happy for you. Everyone deserves an amazing, loving relationship, and I'm glad you have that. Enjoy all the Thanksgiving food. OP. It really isn't too bad. I didn't break my leg, thankfully. I got super lucky. It'll be a good while before I am cleared to run again. But I literally got to go home the same night I got taken to the hospital, so I'm calling it a win. Update. Unimportant update. Saw the Northern Lights 2 weeks later. Missed them months ago, but we got an alert they were visible tonight, and we drove out to the closest low light area. Pretty. I'm still on leave, but Mike took time off for tomorrow, so we can sleep in and watch this as much as we can. I know it's silly, but damn, I am so happy. Update. 2.5 months later. Hello, Reddit friends. It's been a minute, right? Sorry about that. There's been a lot of very real life stuff that intersected with the holiday, so I haven't had the best time to make an update. Thanks for asking so much, though. I feel the support. First thing, Mike and I are great. Coming up on a year if you can believe it. Out of respect, not Mike's family. I'll put a trigger warning here about parental death / trauma / etc. I had a Thanksgiving post in my notes almost fully written when, unfortunately, I got the call. I've mentioned before that I had kind of a rough upbringing and have been estranged from my parents for a few years. But they were still my parents, you know. So anyhow, my mother passed away the day after Thanksgiving. Natural causes. She just neglected her health in general. I hadn't talked to her since a half-hearted attempt last Christmas. She didn't even know about Mike. And I don't know if I even feel sad, exactly. But it knocked me for a loop. And writing about how great Mike's family is left a bad taste in my mouth. My therapist says I, paraphrasing here, already mourned the loss of the good parts of my mom when I started processing the bad parts. So my reaction isn't abnormal. For once. But it wasn't the easiest time. And then the funeral meant a whole lot of people I never wanted to see again. Mike was a godsend. He's so charismatic and charming that no one had anything bad to say to me. It was more like a room of acquaintances. I'm so glad we moved in together. I don't know how I would have gotten through it, and then gone home alone. So, I'm going to do this a little out of order. Mike and I spent the whole Christmas week with his parents again, and they were very sympathetic and understanding in the, we respect that you don't want us to make a big deal way. Most of his family wasn't there except for dinner the day after Christmas. Just wait till the Thanksgiving recap, and you'll understand why Christmas is so low-key. No one could handle that twice in 2 months. So it was nice to wake up and feel like family and open presents in my pajamas. Mike and I have matching Christmas ones now. We are ridiculous together, and I love it. Also, it was a white Christmas for the first time in years. To those hoping for a proposal, I did get jewelry, but not a ring. Sorry. Believe me, it's on the table and where we feel we are headed. But we're not rushing things. Also, given everything going on, it wouldn't have been the right time. But I got a lovely pendant with my birthstone and real diamonds, so I was very spoiled. Christmas dinner was good and catered, and there was a lot of chaos and kids and presents, and I missed most of it because I had a pretty bad headache, and it was just a lot at once. But I was there for pictures, and everyone kind of accepts that I'm the future wife, even without a ring, so I feel nice and included. Sorry that this update is on a bit of a downer note. I know I don't really sound like my usual upbeat self, but I'll get back there once the holidays, seasonal depression, and stuff are behind me. That's why I saved my Thanksgiving post for the end, to hopefully go out on a high note. The Thanksgiving recap. Hi all. I get a lot of requests for updates, so I thought I'd share how things are going now that Gluttony Day is behind us. Mike and I are happily cohabitating still. Things are well on most fronts. I had a minor car accident a little while ago. I posted on my page about it, but I'm mostly healed up now. Mike's family is still the absolute best, and honestly, his mom is more motherly than mine has ever been. Sucks, but it is what it is. See? That line right there. Ouch. I'd been warned that Thanksgiving is sort of their big holiday, since a lot of the family spends time elsewhere on Christmas, and that it's a bit of a spectacle. But Lord Almighty, I was not prepared for this SHT. So, things you need to know. There is some weird Battle of the SSS thing they do. A few years ago, Mike's mom pointed out that the family kept getting bigger, and it was harder to make enough turkey for everyone. So the kids got together, and everyone takes credit for the idea, and bought their dad one of those turkey deep fryers for Christmas. So Thanksgiving rolls around again. I so wish I'd met Mike sooner to see it myself. And thanks to the combination of beer and, I'm sure we can figure this out, apparently their dad set fire to the lawn. At least no one was hurt, apart from pride. But after that there was sober practice. And now mom's turkey versus dad's turkey is this whole thing. Like there is literally SHT talk the whole day. People are set up into camps. I joked we needed team shirts, and I think they actually want to do that next year. It was all pretty hilarious and casual, and they had like 3 damn tables set up. Don't worry, Reddit. I made sure no teenagers were being parentified or unliked in laws or being forced to sit at the kids' table. Actually, I was low-key jealous. They got crayons and coloring books. The food was all amazing, and all hands were on deck, except for me because his mom refused to have me on my feet, even though my leg is basically fine now. Mike kept bringing me stuff. It was so cute, y'all. I can't even put into words how much golden retriever energy this boy has. If you're wondering who made the better turkey, ooh man, it's hard. Mike's mom does a Brian Alton Brown is the GOAT. But there is something about fried turkey skin that is just next level. So I'd say it's a tie. And that's not just me being diplomatic. I ate so much that I barely had room for dessert. It was fantastic. I never fall asleep in the car, but I was passed out on the drive home. We had kind of a second Thanksgiving at home the next day from the leftovers, and I probably just put on 50 pounds. No regrets. Anyway, I'm off to sleep the bird off. I hope you all had a wonderful turkey day and a great Christmas coming up. End recap. So there you have it. I'm okay, we're okay, and I'm looking forward to 2025 being even better than 2024. Happy New Year. I wish you all the best. Comments. Inedible Calamari 42. I love you and Mike with wheels and this whole damn saga. Happy New Year to you and yours. Soggy Milk 1005. I forgot. Does Mike have any single relatives? Lol, I love you guys. I'm sorry for your losses. Sometimes it can hurt to lose the potential for a person to redeem themselves, but that might just be me. Wishing you continued happiness. Second story. My girlfriend and friends did a prank, reminding me of my high school bullies, then went to have breakfast themselves, leaving me to clean up the mess they had created. Background. Both mid-20s, I live in a townhouse. My girlfriend and I have a mutual friend who is going to be out of town for work for quite a while, and she had been begging to go to breakfast with them the entire week. I was opposed because they wanted to go at 6:30 am, and I typically work late into the night. I offered 4 different days we could get dinner, and the mutual friend declined. After continued begging, I gave in to my GF because it seemed that it meant a lot to her to see our mutual friend and his significant other at breakfast. I wake up at 6:15 am to knocking on my front door and open it to see an 8-foot-tall tower of red Solo cups filled with oatmeal completely blocking the door. I grunt and immediately close the front door. Keep in mind, this is the only way in and out of my house. I look to my security camera to see them taking snaps and laughing outside. The three of them text me asking me to come out and go to breakfast. But they make no attempt to clear the door. I expect they're just waiting for me to blow through it and make a huge mess. I turn the lights out and go back to bed, so they leave. When I wake up, the tower is still there. It takes me about 20 minutes and 4 whole garbage bags to clean up what must have been over 20 pounds of oatmeal. Not to mention the mess it made on my front porch and on the carpet in my entryway. I had planned on taking the girlfriend to an NHL game tomorrow, which would have cost me at least $100 in tickets, parking, food, etc. Now I have no desire to see or talk to her. I'm absolutely livid because it brings me back to high school, where my car and house used to be vandalized in similar ways: sarin wrap, Vaseline, toilet paper, etc. I feel like it was meant as an innocent prank. But my natural urge is to go full scorched earth and just be nasty to her, which I know is not a healthy way to deal with this situation. I just want to know if I'm in the right and how I should maturely handle this situation without escalating it, while still expressing how disappointed I am in her. TLDR. My girlfriend and friends trick me into thinking we're going to get breakfast, completely block my front door with a tower of red Solo cups filled with oatmeal, laugh about it, and leave me to clean up the mess. Relevant comments. OP on why he hates pranks. In high school, one of the many times this happened, I woke up and my house was paintballed and egged. My car was sarin wrapped and covered in Vaseline. The lawn was forked, and the 25-foot tree in our front yard was covered with half a dozen rolls of toilet paper. We had a patrol car on our street every night for the next week after, so it didn't happen again. It gave me a lot of anxiety. It made it hard to sleep, wondering every night if I would wake up to find my car effed up, or having to wonder what my parents must think of me, that someone hated me enough to do something so unnecessary. I'm going to tell her this and explain why their little joke is so upsetting to me. Depending on how she responds, I am willing to end the relationship over this. I thought after how long we had been dating that she had the insight to stop for a second and realize that I wouldn't think this was funny. And I'm not holding the history against her, because she didn't know. But I feel like the rest of it is still a really bad look. She got up early to help prepare it, helped set it up, laughed, and took pictures when I opened the door, and then jumped in the car to go get breakfast with them minutes later. No apology, no text to check up on how I was, no offer to help clean up, nothing. She texted later asking, "Are you still mad?" but didn't actually do anything about it. The crepes on her Snapchat story looked great, but I wasn't there, so I can only assume they were good. I expect better than that. She's been sweet up to this moment. We rarely fight. But if this is a hill she wants to die on, I'm not going to back down. If this is how she acts about something so innocuous, do I really want to go through the really serious stuff with her? 32834265546. Yeah, it would have been a prank if they helped clean up the mess they created. It's not at all funny when they then leave you and presumably go out to eat. That wouldn't sit well with me. OP. They all went out to breakfast together after. 32834265546. I'd be hurt. I'm sorry it happened to you. Have you talked to her since this happened? OP. This afternoon she sent 2 texts. "Babby, are you still mad?" And "Friend told me you would think it was funny." And I was like, okay. I sent a long message explaining why I hate pranks like this. I told her I was disappointed in her for trying to pass off responsibility and doing something she should have very obviously known I wouldn't like. Explained I had to clean up the entire mess myself, and told her we wouldn't be going to the NHL game. She hasn't replied. She might still be at work since she went in late to accommodate the breakfast they all went to. But chances are she's seen it. Update. 2 days later. She replied after she got home from work yesterday. I told her I didn't want to see her, and she could text me whatever apology she had to say. But she came over anyway. She said the prank wasn't her idea, but agreed to let them use her house to prep for it. She claims to have questioned going through with it. But my friend, who has known me significantly longer than her, insisted I would think it was funny, so she deferred to him. I told her I expect better from her, and that I expect her to stand up for herself. She went on to say she would never have pulled the prank or allowed it to happen if she knew my history with things. She didn't identify the major issues with the scenario on her own. Having me wake up early for a breakfast I didn't want to go to for her just to be pranked, having to clean it up by myself while they went to breakfast, and her not checking up on me at any point. I told her one mistake was understandable. I told her more than one mistake is understandable, but I pointed out that along every step of the prank, there were easy things she could have done to make it right, but didn't. I asked her how she could make such an obvious series of mistakes, one after the other, with someone she claims to love. Apparently, she asked some of her girlfriends for advice on what to do, friends unrelated to the story, and they told her to give me space. She was very insistent that she was sorry and wasn't perfect, but would always learn from her mistakes. I'm still mad at her, but we're back to being on good terms. If this wasn't the only thing she's ever done wrong in the relationship, I'd have been a lot harsher and maybe broken up with her. But frankly, I think that'd be a waste in this case. If she makes other blatantly thoughtless mistakes like this in the future, then she'll probably be out of luck. Her reasoning and the way things played out are not okay, but understandable. On the other side of things, the mutual friend texted me the link to this post late last night, claiming to have found it while casually scrolling through Reddit. He identified that if he knew the history, he wouldn't have done it, but not any of the other issues I listed above, which all of you commenting identified for him. I replied briefly and stopped responding because I wasn't really impressed with his non-apology. I've known the guy for years, and I don't know what part of him thought that I'd find a huge effing mess amusing. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.